Let's start with the scene. A cold stone wall, a sick king, a whispered plea, a turned face, a ticking clock. That was Hezekiah's final moment before God rewrote his ending. But now, imagine something equally powerful, yet much less theatrical. A quiet bedroom, a tired believer, no drama, no countdown, no spotlight, yet the same turning of the heart. Because the God of Scripture has a signature move, he leans toward presence before power. Many of us assume God responds only when we rise in strength. But the biblical narrative shows the opposite. God often responds when we fall into surrender, when our words lose their decoration and carry only desperation, when our posture breaks and honesty stands taller than exhaustion. You see, God doesn't measure the body's stance, God measures the soul's direction. The greatest example of this is Christ in the Garden of Gethsemane. He wasn't standing tall, he wasn't even just kneeling. He was collapsing under the emotional and spiritual weight of the cross that was to come. And that prayer, in that moment of collapse, becomes the very hinge of our redemption. Not because it was polished, but because it was poured out. Not because it looked composed, but because it was completely turned toward the Father. The Bible doesn't give us a posture to copy, it gives us a heart to mirror. And mirroring that heart means understanding this one truth so deeply that you can narrate it to your own soul. You can lie down and be fully surrendered, and you can stand up and be fully asleep. So what is God really listening for? He listens for the lean of a heart that says, I don't have any strength left, but I have remembrance. The lean that says, I can't impress you, but I can reach for you. The lean that admits, I'm tired in body, but I am awake in soul. The lean that confesses, I'm weak in my words, but I am present in my direction. Prayer is the compass, not the costume. Let's bring this into today. There was a soldier who survived war but nearly lost his peace. He would force himself to kneel every night because that's how he was taught to pray. But one night, the pain from old shrapnel and the sheer emotional fatigue made it impossible. He was forced onto his back. He immediately apologized to God for not kneeling. But then something happened. For the first time in months, his prayer wasn't recited, it was spoken. He said later, my knees were up, but my heart was finally upright. Sometimes, comfort doesn't cancel sincerity. Sometimes, comfort rescues honesty. Here's another story. A college student felt distant from God, even though she was praying daily. She realized her prayers sounded like summaries she was giving to a boss, not conversations with a friend. One night, she was too tired to even think about kneeling. She just laid down in her bed and decided to pray like God was sitting right there beside her, instead of hovering somewhere above her. She said, I changed nothing about the moment, but everything about the connection. This is the very heart of what we're talking about. Prayer is not where you place your body, it is where you place your awareness. Guilt tries to hijack our prayer life by making us inspect ourselves. Are we doing it right? Are the words good enough? But God invites us into prayer by inviting us to inspect Him. If a voice tells you you're doing it wrong, that voice wants you to be silent. But if God says, turn again, that voice wants you to be present. Think about it. Hezekiah turned toward a wall. David turned toward remembrance. Jonah turned toward God from the belly of a great fish in total darkness. And Jesus turned toward the Father under crushing pressure. The common thread was never their posture. It was their orientation. It was the direction of their heart. So here is the core of it all, the final emotional crescendo, this idea. God is close enough to hear a whisper, but prayer becomes truly powerful when our whisper hears Him back. It's not about volume, it's about presence. It's not about position, it's about direction. It's not about form, it's about surrender. And now, here's a challenge for you. Tonight, when you pray, don't ask yourself, do I look devoted? Instead, ask this, am I turned toward the one who is devoted to me? Because the God who listens to whispered prayers in the dark is not grading your performance, He is joining you in the moment. But this brings up a critical question. If direction is the secret, how do you train a distracted heart to stay turned toward God when exhaustion and noise and busyness are all fighting for your attention? Because the next level of prayer isn't about posture or emotion. It's about the protection of your attention. And the tools for that might just surprise you. Stay with me, because this story isn't over. Thank you for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.